This is First Coast Math Clinic, and this video is on solving equations with grouping symbols. So our objective is to solve equations with grouping symbols, and just a review of grouping symbols. So we're different types of grouping symbols. So we have parentheses and brackets, and when we're seeing parentheses, when we simplify expressions that look like this, 2 times the quantity 3x minus 5, and we would simplify this by distributing using our distributive property, distributing that 2 inside the parentheses. So we'd get 6x minus 10. So we're going to have to use the distributive property a great deal when we solve equations using grouping symbols. So let's go through the steps we're going to use to solve equations with grouping symbols. So similar to the steps that we use when solving multi-step equations, we're going to combine like terms across the equal sign using inverse operations, isolate the variable using inverse operation, and we're going to check our answer. But we have a different first step. Our new first step is going to be to simplify each side. And we remember that when we simplify each side, I have another video on simplifying expressions. You can check that out as well. When we simplify, we do two things. We remove grouping symbols and we combine like terms. So let's look at an example. So for this equation, we've got 4 times the quantity x plus 5 on the left side equals 2x plus 7 plus 6x minus 3 on the right side. So let's start just by simplifying each side. So on the left side, well, how do we remove our grouping symbols? Well, we can remove our grouping symbols by distributing that 4 and distributing the 4. So we're going to have 4 times x, which is 4x, and 4 times 5, which is 20. And if you want a review of the distributive property, I have another video on the distributive property. On the right side, how are we going to combine our like terms? Well, let's start by grouping our like terms together. So our like terms are terms that have the same variable raised to the same power. So we're going to group the 2x and the 6x together. And we're going to group the plus 7 and the minus 3 together. So this is basically going to be 2x plus 6x plus 7 minus 3. 2x plus 6x is 8x. 7 minus 3 is 4. So we've done that first step. We've simplified each side and we removed our grouping symbols. Combined our like terms. So we can move on to the next step. Let's combine our like terms across the equal sign. So we've got 4x and 8x. I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. 4x cancels out on the left. I'll bring down the 20 equals 8x minus 4x is 4x plus 4. Second set of like terms is going to be the 4 and the 20, so I'm going to subtract 4 and 4. 4's cancel out. I get 16 equals 4x. Now I want to isolate my variable using inverse operation. I'm going to divide by 4 and 4. And I get x equals 4. So my answer here should be x equals 4. So that's our answer. Let's do a check. Substitute our value for x back into this expression. So I'm going to clean this up a little bit. So let's take that x value of 4, and everywhere we see an x, let's put it back in, and then let's simplify. So 4 times 4 plus 5 equals 2 times 4 plus 7 plus 6 times 4 minus 3. All right, on the left side, 4 plus 5 is 9 times 4 is 36. So we get 36 on the left side. Then we get 8 plus 7 plus 24 minus 3. Going left to right, we get 15 plus 24 minus 3. 15 plus 24 is 39, minus 3 is 36. We get 36 equals 36. So our solution checks, our answer is going to be x equals 4. Let's do a couple more examples involving grouping symbols. So our next example is going to be negative 3 times the quantity x minus 2x plus 4 equals 4 times the quantity negative 4x plus 2. So we want to get rid of our grouping symbols to start. So let's distribute and distribute. So negative 3 times 2x is going to give me negative 6x. And negative 3 times 4 is going to give me negative 12. Then 4 times negative 4 gives me negative 16x. And 4 times 2 gives me positive 8. So let's combine our like terms across the equal sign. I'm going to move, that our like terms are going to be, like terms are going to be the negative 6x and the negative 16x. I want to move this negative 6x to the right. So to do that, I want to add 6x. So I'm going to add 6x, add 6x. 6x cancels out on the left. Bring down the negative 12. Negative 16x plus 6x. I have another video on adding opposite signs. We're going to subtract these two numbers and take the sign of the number with the larger absolute value. Well, what's the difference between 16 and 6? The difference is 10. Which of these two numbers is furthest from 0, negative 16 or 6? The negative 16 is furthest from 0, so we're going to take the sign of the negative number, the negative 16, plus 8. Now again, I want to get that x by itself, so I'm going to subtract 8, subtract 8. I know the 8's cancel out, and just as a review, this is negative 12 minus 8. We can use our subtraction rule. Negative 12 plus negative 8. So now we add and keep the sign, and we get negative 20. So I get negative 20 equals negative 10x. Now I want to undo this multiplication, so let's divide by negative 10 and divide by negative 10. Whenever I multiply or divide the same signs, my answer is going to be positive, so dividing two negatives, I'm going to get a positive, and 20 divided by 10 is going to be 2. So our answer should be x equals 2. Let's do our check now. So I'll take that value 2, put it in for x. So we'll do a check over here. So let's simplify in our parentheses. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 4 times negative 3. And on the right side, negative 4 times 2 is negative 8, plus 2. So let's finish this left side. I've got 4 plus 4, which is 8, and then negative 3 times 8, which is negative 24. On the right side, I've got negative 8 plus 2, which is negative 6, and then 4 times negative 6, which again gives me negative 24. So on the left and the right side, I get negative 24 equals negative 24. So my answer 2 checks. So I've gone through 2 examples with you guys. This video is getting a little bit long. I'm going to go through a 3rd example in another video, and I'll post that a little more advanced example where I combine like terms and remove grouping symbols in one example. So I'm going to do that in a separate video because, again, this video is getting a little bit long. This was solving equations with grouping symbols, First Coast Math Clinic.